Hey there, Commander players. Gary here with a first for me and my channel, and I am going to be doing a review of the 5 new Planeswalkers from the new Commander 2014 pre-constructed decks. This was a pretty exciting release because it was the first time Wizards is actively allowing you to play with a Planeswalker as your commander, as well as the first time that Wizards is releasing monocolored Planeswalker pre-constructed decks. So I will jump right in with the review. This is in no particular order. I am going to read the card from the top to the bottom and give you my opinion on the strengths and weaknesses of these commanders. As a disclaimer, these are my opinions. You do not have to agree with me, and I will not be mad at you if you disagree with me, because that is what is awesome about Commander, is we don't have to agree on jack shit. I will start out with our red Goblin Pope, the guy that I've been playing a lot online and has changed my opinion quite a bit. Of course, I'm speaking of Doretti, Savant. Get right into the mana cost of Doretti Savant. He costs 3 colorless and a red. He is the cheapest of our new Planeswalker overlords. He is also the only Planeswalker without a double color casting cost. That's pretty awesome to me. It means that you can essentially cast him turn 2 every time if you have a Soul Ring or a Mana Vault or a Mana Crypt. You get the idea. All the other Planeswalkers are double colored of their identity, so of course I mean they have green green, blue blue, black black, or white white, plus the other colorless mana that they need to be cast. I think that they did this because Doretti is an artificer. They wanted him to be able to be cast fairly easy off of mana rocks. Looking at this guy, there really is no downside when you compare him to the other Planeswalkers. And when I say Planeswalkers in this review, I'm obviously talking about the new Planeswalkers. Yeah, he's the cheapest cost one, so there really is no downside. His +2 ability cycles through your deck, so you get to discard a couple cards and draw a couple cards. That is pretty awesome, especially in red, which doesn't have all that many ways to cycle through our deck. It puts the artifacts where we want them. Where do we want them? In the graveyard. That way we can get them back later. He does not require 2 or even 1 cards to discard. If you have no cards in hand and you just need to uptick him instead of just letting him sit there and look pretty, you can do that. If you have 2 cards in your hand and you only want to discard one of them, that is also an option. He allows you to play less land than normal because you are cycling through your deck at such a increased rate. You're essentially looking at 3 cards from the top of your deck every turn if you have no other shenanigans going on for card draw. The negative is sometimes you just don't want to discard anything, which leaves you, again, you have the power to do that, but it kind of sucks when you want to draw more cards, but what you have in your hand, you just don't want to get rid of. His second ability is sacrifice an artifact. If you do, return target artifact card from your graveyard to the battlefield. What? That is pretty freaking nuts. He has so much synergy with his first ability, also has so much synergy with his second ability. The ability to sacrifice an artifact to grab another artifact that comes into play or leaves the battlefield ability is pretty awesome when you can just do it again. The downside is the sacrifice part is not an additional cost. Why is that a downside? Well, with things like Rings of Brighthearth, which you will probably be playing in Doretti, if you activate the rings to copy his -2 ability, you still have to sacrifice 2 artifacts to get 2 artifacts back. It's not an additional cost, so it's not like other things that have it as an additional cost, where you sacrifice one thing and get 2 activations. You still have to sacrifice 2 artifacts to get back 2 artifacts. If another downside, if the opponent responds by destroying your only artifact, it becomes a complete whiff. You choose your target upon activating the ability, so you choose your target from the graveyard, and then they have the ability, your opponent has the ability to respond by destroying what could possibly be your only artifact, or leaving you with an artifact you clearly do not want to get rid of, and that becomes a complete whiff. You -2 them with no upside. His ultimate ability has a lot of synergy with his -2 ability, or his -2 ability, sorry about that, allowing you to sacrifice, say, a Wormcoil engine to grab back something else out of your graveyard, just to have the Wormcoil engine come back into play at the end of turn is pretty awesome. This ability creates an emblem, so you cannot mess with it, and the emblem says during any end step, not just during your turn, that is relevant for things like Goblin Welder, or if you block, or if you have an artifact that sacrifices itself as part of the cost. Could you imagine Mindslaver? Because I can. The negatives about this are it does not have the I win feeling. While it is an amazing ability, it does not just flat out win you the game. Tamiyo's emblem has the feeling that's kind of similar to this, of having something going to the graveyard and then coming back. But Tamiyo's ability also gives you no maximum hand size and happens instantaneously instead of at the end of turn. Another downside is this requires 4 consecutive unhindered upticks before this can be achieved. So Doretti does not create blockers, unless of course you are sacrificing a non-creature artifact to bring back an artifact creature, and this can be pretty difficult for him to get up to that -10. Half the time you're going to be using his -2 quite a bit anyways. Moving on, this little piece of text here, Doretti Scrap Savant, can be your commander. This is useless text unless you play solely online. Why do I say this? Well, because Wizard has opened the floodgates. With Commander being such a social format, you and your playgroup can agree to allow or disallow any Planeswalker to be your commander now. Because, hey, that is a pretty cool idea. Can you imagine a commander deck based around Dak Faden, for example? This line of text only really matters if you play online, because online does not have the ability to allow or disallow, if agreed upon, to have any Planeswalker as your commander. So I feel like this text is a little bit useless. Looking at his loyalty, he starts with 3 loyalty, plus if you uptick him 4/2, gives you a hearty 5 loyalty commander. It's kind of hard to deal with that, especially because Doretti has the ability to come down so early, turn 2 and turn 3 even. That's with 5 loyalty, that is going to definitely be hard to deal with in the earlier stages of the game. Another positive, even if you downtick him, he survives, and the downtick should hopefully be worth it. So, what do I mean by worth it? Well, of course, hopefully we're getting back a decent artifact. Some people would like for him to die, that way you could downtick and then recast him and downtick again. I think that this is a good control for the power creep that could potentially happen with an ability like that. So let's move on to our next new commander. The next commander of the new set that I am going to look at is Freya Elise Llanowar's Fury. Kind of a fitting name. While she cost 5 mana, and that is a bit of a hefty price, this is the color of ramp, so that is a non-issue. Some positives about her plus ability is it creates blockers to protect herself. Her blockers are freaking Llanowar elves, because she is Llanowar's Fury. And another upside, with something to give your creatures haste, her elves are just that much better. Downside? Not really a downside to this one. It's probably one of my favorite upticks of the new Planeswalkers. For her second ability, having an artifact or enchantment control built into your commander is really awesome. This allows you to really keep an eye on the board. Downside is this feels very lackluster compared to the rest of the new Planeswalkers. Also, this is easily achieved with other cards in green. Her ultimate ability only takes 2 unhindered upticks, which is very easy considered that she creates blockers. Her elves are green. This also helps with her, helps you draw more cards with her ultimate. Downside is this really does lack the I win feeling. Not every Planeswalker can create an emblem that just shuts out the game, but I do feel like more of the Planeswalkers coming out in a set that is exclusively for Commander should have more of an even ultimate. Another thing is this is easily done with other green cards. Also, why not green permanents? We already have Regal Force, which allows... We already have Regal Force, which allows us to draw off of our green permanents. So that could even make it feel like a bit of a better ability. Again, negligible text unless you play online. She starts at 3 loyalty, and that is pretty awesome. Very standard for these new Planeswalkers. So let's move on to the next guy. Okay, for her first ability, she creates creatures to protect her. However, these creatures are great at suiting up. Having them come in with an equipment on board is really awesome. Can you imagine with Batterskull in play among the other hefty priced equipment? And her soldiers are a very relevant creature type. I didn't mention this about Freya Elise, but her making elves is also a very relevant creature type. Downside, just a regular guy comes into play if you control no equipment. For her -2, the recursion is great in Commander, especially when it's built into your commander. This is not easily done with other mono-white cards, so this is a unique ability. She can really save you mana for doing other things, like equipping that thing you just cheated into play. Also, this avoids those nasty counterspells. Downside is there's not really much to complain about this ability. It does exactly what you want to do in Commander. Her ultimate, guess you get +5/+5. And there's double strike. Oh, it cost you 0 to equip. Downside is, what the fuck? God damn it, Wizards, what were you thinking? Seriously though, this is probably the most lackluster of the ultimates of the new Planeswalkers. It requires 4 unhindered upticks to achieve, and although indestructible, it can stop it from being destroyed. It means very little to Unravel the Aether, Deglamour, Return to Dust, Oblation, any fucking bounce spell. It's not as durable as they probably thought it was going to be. It should have Shroud that would help with all those other things I just said. Making this a living weapon would have also been slightly more acceptable, because as is, you get a piece of gear that does nothing on its own. This should have also given maybe plus 1 million plus 1 million, because it would have at least been like the, hey, I win if I hit kind of feeling. If you cannot tell, I really dislike this ultimate. I think that they dropped the ball and severely screwed up when they were making this ultimate. This tech still really only matters if you play only online. For the 3, this is more standard fanfare here. 1 uptick puts her at a hearty 5 loyalty with a blocker. Would not have hurt for her to start at 4 or even 5 loyalty, because her ultimate is so underwhelming. Starting at 5 and an uptick of 1 would have pretty much made her, I think, pretty fair. And should probably remove the ultimate because I dislike it. So next up is Nixlas of the Black Oath. This guy, yeah, pretty much the same for the mana cast. His +1 is definitely made for bigger games with more players, just for the fact that you will get more life and deal more damage. Negatives are this does not increase your board state or offer any card advantage. It is very underwhelming when you consider black has much better ways to deal damage and gain life. His second ability creates a pretty beefy blocker, also has really good damage potential and flying. For the downside, this is the only Planeswalker that I think should have been able to kill himself with his negative. It would have been on theme and even made him a better Planeswalker. Also, why the loss of 2 life? Maybe if the demon also triggered sort of a vampiric tutor effect. It seems kind of like a weird thing to add. His ultimate creates an emblem so it can't be messed with. It has no activate, only as a sorcery clause, which you kind of see on things like this. My second favorite ultimate on my least favorite Planeswalker has the I win feeling so long as you can keep creatures on the board. This has really good synergy with his +2, just for the fact that, or I guess I meant to say his -2. This has really good synergy with his -2 for the fact that you can keep pumping out demons and drawing 5 cards and gaining back 5 life. This only needs 3 unhindered upticks, the best of the, or not the best, but close to the best of the new Planeswalkers for reaching their ultimates. The power level on this is through the roof when you have cards like Grave Pact or Dictate of Erebos out. Only downside is you must have a constant stream of decent sized creatures to really benefit from this ultimate. Yada yada yada. More of the same with the starting loyalty. However, I feel he should have started with 4 loyalty. This would have allowed him to make 2 demons, killing himself in the process. Again, on theme for a black demon. Moving on. Alright, our 5th and final Planeswalker is Ferry, Temporal Archmage, or Archmage. Our most expensive new commander, but this is definitely on scale with his power level. For his first ability, it creates card advantage and it filters your draw. Kind of an in-between. This does not count as drawing a card. This is good versus Nekasar decks, not so good when you're using cards like Chasm Skulker or Psychosis Crawler, etc. Downsides are this is the only new Planeswalker that upticks for just +1, and putting the other card into our graveyard would have been ideal. Second ability can essentially feel like casting him for 2 mana, maybe less if you are playing cards like Gilded Lotus or Thran Dynamo among other mana rocks. He can create blockers via Pseudo Vigilance. This only costs 1 loyalty, which is not bad at all. It is our cheapest downtick. This is probably my favorite downtick of all of the new Planeswalkers. The poor part is this is hard to criticize. And by poor part, I mean not really poor part. His ultimate is what? Oh my god, did you read that? Did you read the emblem? Like, if you open this deck and you read that emblem, the first thing you see in there, you are just gonna be like, WTF did I just read? This definitely has the I win feeling to it. Imagine having Tamiyo or Jace in play with this emblem. Even without another Planeswalker, your commander is a freaking Planeswalker. With abilities that wouldn't be too bad to activate on other people's turns. This also makes an emblem, so you really can't mess with it once it happens. The downside is this takes a whopping 5 unhindered activations to achieve that, but that is understandable when you consider what exactly it does. Oh my god. Then there is the loyalty. It's the highest starting loyalty of all of the new Planeswalkers. Oh god, can you imagine if you had Karn out with a Teferi emblem? You're probably gonna lose friends. Also, his 5 starting loyalty plus his first uptick puts him at a really hardy 6 loyalty that's gonna be hard to take care of in the earlier parts of the game. Well, those are the 5 new Planeswalkers. And if I put them in the ranking order from my least favorite to my most favorite, again with the reminder that this is my opinion, you can love any of them that you want, in any order that you want. You go on being you. My least favorite Planeswalker is definitely going to have to be Nixlas of the Black Oath. His first 2 abilities feel very underpowered to me. I dislike them greatly. His ultimate is awesome. I really love the ultimate, but this guy plays better support than as your commander. I would have to say that my second, my fourth, how would I word that? My fourth favorite, my second least favorite, would have to be Nahiri the Lithomancer. Her first 2 abilities are amazing. I really enjoy them. They are very situational, but not so much because you're going to be building around her. But that ultimate puts such a bad taste in my mouth that I would rather visit a glory hole at a truck stop. I'm going to have to say that my next favorite, or least favorite, if you're keeping track, let's just say in the number 3 slot, is definitely going to have to be Freya Elise, Llanowar's Fury. This is a good card for the middle slot because I really like this card, but I really like other cards more. I think that it has a very good first 2 abilities, and the ultimate is okay. My second favorite card will have to be Teferi, Temporal Archmage, because look at those abilities, very good. The only thing that holds him back in my eyes is the 6 casting cost. Again, very, very scaled to his power, but he's the slowest one to play out in not ramp colors. But that ultimate, oh my god. That only leaves us with the very, very red, very, very Pope-looking Goblin as my favorite of the new commanders, Doretti Scrap Savant. Which is really funny because, as I have mentioned before, watching the spoilers for this set come out, I saw the card and I hated it. I did not see the potential. I am willing to admit on my channel for all of you to see that I was wrong. I was so terribly wrong. The card is amazing. Everything on it is done right. I love that card. This has been Gary with my first review of a set. I hope you guys enjoyed. Watch for my next video. I am going to look at the probably top 5 cards from each color of the new set. Thank you for watching. Be sure to rate, click on that comment, click on the rate. My God, why can't I talk? Click on that subscribe button. Be sure to rate and comment down below. What is your favorite new Planeswalker? Who do you absolutely hate out of the new Planeswalkers? Let me know. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a good day.